I didn't tell him what Mrs. Parker had said. How could I? How do you ask the man who calls you Evie if he's the wrong ghost wearing your husband's face? That night, I barely touched my dinner. Robert, or whoever he was, spoke softly about how he wanted to rebuild, how he wanted to make up for the years we'd lost. But I couldn't stop staring at his hands. His gestures were so precise, so familiar, that they frightened me. He used to rub the edge of his wedding band whenever he was nervous. He did that tonight, except there was one problem. His ring finger was bare. "Did you ever find your ring again?" I asked, trying to sound casual. He looked down, then smiled faintly. "No, I lost it that night." "That's strange," I said, my voice trembling slightly. "You told me once that if you ever lost your ring, you'd come back for it." For a second, his eyes flickered, just a fraction, but I saw it. He blinked, then chuckled softly. "I said a lot of things, didn't I?" He changed the subject quickly after that, but I couldn't. When he went to bed, I slipped quietly into my study, the one place in the house I'd left untouched for decades. The smell of old paper and sea salt still clung to the walls. I opened the top drawer of my desk and pulled out a small wooden box. Inside was a faded envelope with his handwriting on it. I'd memorized that handwriting. Every curve, every slant, every imperfection. The next morning, I asked him to make a grocery list. He laughed, saying, "Still bossing me around after 40 years? Old habits," I replied with a weak smile. He wrote the list on a scrap of paper and left it on the counter. When he went out for a walk, I placed it next to the letter. The handwriting wasn't the same. The slope of the R, the loop of the H. They were close, too close, but wrong. I stared at those two pieces of paper until my hands shook. Then I folded them together and locked them away. A few days passed. He settled into the house like a man reclaiming his life. He fixed the creaky door, repaired the porch rail, even found his old fishing knife in the shed. Every action felt rehearsed. Every moment, I felt the invisible thread of unease tightening around me. One morning, I found him standing outside by the rose bushes, the ones he planted before his last voyage. "You remembered where they were," I said. He smiled. "Of course, I planted them." "But they weren't here when you left," I whispered. "I planted them the year after." He froze. For a split second, he looked lost. His lips parted, but no words came out. Then, just as quickly, his expression softened again. "I suppose I must have seen them in your letters. You described them so well, but I hadn't written to him after that year." That night, I couldn't stand it anymore. I waited until he was asleep, then crept into the guest room. The moonlight cast long silver shadows across the floor. He lay perfectly still, his chest rising and falling slowly. I stepped closer, watching his face. It was Robert's face, aged, tired, but real. The same faint scar under his chin, the same small freckle near his left ear. But something about him was off, too exact, like a painting, copied stroke for stroke, but without the soul. On the nightstand was his old watch, the one I'd given him on our 10th anniversary. I picked it up carefully. It still ticked, faintly, like a tiny heartbeat. The engraving on the back read, "To my love, always, Evie, 1972. That was right. But the metal was different. Lighter, newer. It wasn't the same watch. It was a replica. I put it back and stepped away, my own heartbeat pounding in my ears. The next morning, I went to the Old Town Library. I hadn't been there in years. Dust lay thick over the shelves, and the same librarian, Mrs. Kent, sat behind the desk, her hair now pure white. She gasped when she saw me. "Evelyn, you've come out of hiding." I smiled faintly. "You could say that. Mrs. Kent, do you remember the shipwreck?" "The Evelyn Rose?" She nodded sadly. "Of course. Tragic story. They said the captain went down with it." "Robert," I said. "My husband." "Yes, dear. That's him. I hesitated. Do you still have the old newspaper archives from back then? Her brows furrowed, but she nodded and led me to the dusty back room. I scrolled through brittle pages until I found the date, May 7th, 1982. The headline read, "Local fisherman lost at sea. Only one body recovered. Below it, a grainy photograph of the beach. And there it was, the body, partially covered with a tarp. The caption read, "Remains believed to be Captain Robert Hayes." But what froze me was the next line. Identified by personal effects, a gold wedding ring, engraved with the initials, RH. I felt the air leave my lungs. The ring, the one he claimed he'd lost, the one I buried in my heart for 41 years. So if they had found his ring on his body, who was in my house? That evening, I came home to find the fire burning and the table set for two. He smiled as I entered, wearing his old cardigan. "Thought we could have dinner together," he said. Like old times, I forced a smile. Of course, we ate in silence for a while. I watched his every move, the way he cut his meat, the way he tilted his head when I spoke. So familiar, yet somehow copied. Finally, I set my fork down. "Robert," I said quietly, "can I ask you something? Anything? Do you remember the night before your last trip?" He looked up smiling. "Of course. We danced in the kitchen. You wore that yellow dress." My heart nearly stopped. That wasn't true. That night, I'd been sick with fever. I never left the bed. He kissed my forehead and promised to be back by morning. I stood up slowly. "Excuse me," I said, my voice trembling. I went to the hallway and leaned against the wall, trying not to collapse. Behind me, I heard him rise from the table. His footsteps were slow, then his voice, soft, almost affectionate. "Evie, you always were such a careful listener." When I turned, he was standing in the doorway, but his eyes were different. No longer the soft blue I remembered. They were colder now, sharper, like someone else was looking out through them. That night I didn't sleep. Every sound felt amplified. The creak of the stairs, the whisper of the wind, the slow ticking of the fake watch. By morning, I made a decision. I would visit the cliffs, the place Mrs. Parker said he was buried. If Robert Hayes truly died 41 years ago, then the truth waited for me in that grave.